we watched this last night with a friend, actually. So it was actually kind of interesting to get the thoughts and reactions from somebody who is not a very in-depth action fan, I would say. Like, he is the perfect male demographic for this, but he's not somebody who is going into action choreography, looking into, second unit and all that kind of behind the scenes stuff we like. So it's always interesting when you get somebody's take who is a little farther removed than we are.
Yeah, you and I are deep down this rabbit hole. we're far removed. So yeah, of course we have our common threads when we talk about these kinds of films and what we like and don't like. So no, it was interesting to see that. I mean, he clearly had a blast with it, and I can see how this could be entertaining for more general audiences. However, the other statement and the other way I was going to open this episode up was by saying that, like, it used to be once upon a time I didn't watch trailers before movies. Before going to see the movie, I just thought, there was a period of time where trailers just kind of ruined the experience. And then I feel like things kind of improved. I feel like trailers are better. And then I think recently, trailers have been starting to ruin my expectations of things again, because the trailer for Monkey Man made me think it was going to be one thing, and it kind of isn't like that in this final execution. It is a little bit more on the generic has a bad connotation, but the more general action movie versus a non-stop John Wick-esque martial arts extravaganza that the trailer would make you think it is.
When I was a boy, my mother used to tell me a story.
So I think I came out of this whole experience kind of feeling like, how did a friend of mine say it? It was very mid, as the young people call it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think my general sentiments, at least on that first viewing, were that, okay, it was entertaining to sit through and watch and get some people's reactions on it. But overall, I thought, okay, this isn't doing it for me. But going back and watching his interviews, listening to Dev Patel speak very passionately about this project and finding out more information on it does put things in context a little better for me. So I do have a lot more appreciation for it because of me looking into that information. So I want to point out some things. This was, this is a COVID film.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Very small COVID film. And this was also abandoned by Netflix and miraculously picked up by Jordan Peele. So this was never really supposed to be like a Hollywood film. And it's surprising that we got like this American theatrical release for it when it was just to go straight to streaming. So I think that really messed with my expectations a little bit, because when I think of a movie that goes into theaters, I think of maybe a different standard, a different quality that should come with the Hollywood budget. And that's actually not the case at all. This was really just saved by Jordan Peele, who really saw this and thought of it as something special, so he wanted it to get out there, because otherwise, apparently, this would have just been shelved and never seen the light of day.
When I watched the film, my mind was blown.
Before we go any further, let's talk about the story super quickly. It's actually really simple. The movie's incredibly simple. Dev Patel, his character, he's witnessed as a child to his mother's murder. I mean, it's doled out slowly throughout the movie. It's revealed really early on that, like, yes, something happened to his mom. But,
it's okay for us to reveal that.
Yeah. I mean, there's really not much to spoil in the movie. The movie's very cut and dry. You are following him as he's trying to get his revenge on the police chief, I guess, who was the culprit in question.
Yes.
That's it. But like the subject matter, I don't even know if the subject matter. It's the framing of everything around, like this criminal underworld, the corrupt, crooked cops, all that. It's too gritty. It can be a little bit gritty, considered that. A little bit gruesome, a little bit too visceral, and Indian audiences, they might not be accustomed to that. I think that was the reasoning for why Netflix didn't want to take on this project. I didn't know that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, though that's why I've read up on, and yeah, I think that's also to what I was trying to allude to before, like why Dev Patel wanted to create this project was because like it was some sort of meta commentary on. I mean,
it definitely seems like it is. It is shining a light on something I think maybe the general public might know about, but maybe not. The caste system in India, how the lower tiers are just fucking the bottom of the barrel, and the rich are just high in their heaven, heavenly towers. I mean, it happens all over the world, but I think some people don't know the extent of how it's happening in other countries. And for a filmmaker to show this, I could understand how that would make people nervous, because then you might be alienating part of your audience, who are paying to see these things.
In this city, the rich don't see us as people. Give me the job no one wants to do. I'll do it.
It might go beyond what I'm capable of comprehending, because like I clearly am not Indian, so I only know so much. Yeah. Look at me. But like I was, as I was coming out of the film, I thought like I feel like I can only critique it on a surface level. But I feel like there's some messaging that Dev Patel's probably trying to get at that someone like me will not fully understand, but I see what he's trying to go for here. So
I think the messaging is not so much that he's putting things in there for us not to understand. I think if anything, he's trying to infuse this very simple revenge tale with his culture and his influences, because there's stuff about Hanuman, the monkey god, and then there's, it's showing us a world that we would never see. I mean, we would only read about, but he's trying to show us the very unfair, poor society that happens that's at the lowest level of Indian culture, and how he's literally fighting his way to get to the top.
This is not the place to work if you can't handle that sort of stuff.
Our hero reaches a low point in the movie, and he goes into his training montage then to fire himself up before torpedoing to the end. And that's where I think he gets a little more maybe surreal with his influences. He starts throwing in some very strange imagery of he opens up his chest and whatnot. And that's where we get a lot more of the flashbacks. That's where we start really fleshing out exactly what happened to his mother. And that is him trying to instill that, his justification for revenge, and then the relationship he had with his mother. Yeah. All that sounds fine on paper, when you're reading a script or when you're thinking about a story. But in terms of entertainment, it doesn't add anything. We already got that his mother was killed. Yeah. To see it then really unfold visually, it's not like the villain did anything so outrageous where it was shocking for us to see it later. There's no twist or any real. There's nothing special about it. She dies, and we just understand. Okay, well, we now know exactly how she died. Did that really add anything? And for me, it didn't really do that.
You need to fight for your mother, for all of us.
I think I would have been a little more interested if we spent more time with him literally clawing his way to the top, because I like that stuff, because he's almost like a rodeo clown in fights. He's he's paid to take the losses for entertainment value, and that's his role. He basically does all these things to try to go up to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, because he's infiltrating this man who he believes killed his mother. And you see him gaming the system for his advantage. Like, I like that. I think that stuff was really clever, how he's like, all right, well, I'm going to invite this man to watch my fight. I'm going to tell him to bet at a certain time. So I'll take a loss, and then that'll improve my status. That'll get me a better job so he can start climbing his way to the top. Yeah, I think for me personally, like, more of that would have been interesting to see him, like, kind of attempt to go up and then fall and then attempt to go up again until finally he reaches this point where it's like, okay, that's the guy, and you know that's where all the action comes.
Yeah, it doesn't really focus on that so much. But I mean, since you're mentioning all that, yeah, there's that whole backdrop of him being in these rigged fights where he's intentionally losing, and he's wearing that Hanuman mask, the monkey man mask. And I thought, as I was watching, what little action there actually is in the movie. We'll talk about that in a second. But what little action there is, I thought, like, oh no, it's just going to be Dev Patel not actually being there. It's just some person behind a mask. But no, Dev Patel, his character takes off the mask, and it's just clearly the actor / director doing most of it. Albeit it's, extreme close-ups and being very claustrophobic with the action, but still, it's him.
Don't call me son.
There's no denying that he's doing it. It's only when he's wearing the monkey mask where you might think, okay, well, maybe that's a stunt double.
Right. But
because his face is hidden.
Exactly, but those aren't like the action scenes that you hone in on. Those are for
exactly.
Small little stunts of him getting his ass kicked. It's like that's probably like one of the stunt doubles under Brahim Shah, who coordinated the fights. Brahim Shah being from the villain in Undisputed 4, or in your favorite movie, Dragon Wolf.
No, that fight though was good with him in Dragon Wolf.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the best fight in the movie. We love that movie. I love that movie. Listen to that review on that.
Yeah, so I forget where I'm trying to go with this, but
the action.
Dev Patel's he's clearly doing it, although it's not. I do appreciate some things that maybe Patel is trying to make some commentary on, like subverting the concept of a one-man killing machine, or like one man army. Mm-hmm. I thought about that, especially like it's in the trailer too. Like there's that moment where he's rushing at the window, and he's gonna shoulder check it and break through, but that doesn't happen. One of the only comedic moments in the entire film. 1, 2, 3. He gets his ass kicked pretty badly in the very beginning of the movie, and I mean he's been primed to be planning this whole revenge scheme from the get-go. So you think he's going to be a badass. No, he gets his ass kicked, and then he goes to that low point. That training montage, I don't even think that's a montage. I have no idea what the hell happened during that time. It's like he punches a heavy bag like 5 times, and then he's on to the final fight, and I don't know what happens. There was nothing to really imply that he's gotten that much better.
He must become a beast.
Towards the end, he's making his way through and fighting folks, but he's not unstoppable. He's not an unstoppable killing machine. And I don't know if
I don't want him to be. I think him getting his butt kicked, but still persevering and just clawing his way out of these situations, I think it's in line with his character. He's not unstoppable. It feels like, I think this is more the choreography and the action design. It feels like he's a little too capable, and then conveniently somebody will stab him or somebody will knock him out. This is just me nitpicking because we look at fights all the time. I want to say he looks too good of a fighter, even though they make him not invincible.
Sure, yeah. It's convenient just enough to move the pace of the fights along. But there is a moment where he is swarmed by a whole mob of enemies, and you think that it's just going to be him versus everyone, and it's like, oh no, they're going to pull this. But no, he gets his own army, and then it becomes a whole all-out brawl. So I was like, okay, that's a little bit more realistic. At least we have that. And I don't know if that was also a commentary, because, maybe this is like taking very subtle jabs at, these Bollywood conventions, like a Bollywood action movie. Like, one man can literally, like, I don't know, fight off a tiger with his bare hands,
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because it's a movie about Indian culture, and anytime I've seen an Indian action film, their style of action is almost, it leans into comedic because of just how they designed it. That's for them. That works for them. They have badass moments in it, but because of their stylistic choices and how I interpret slow motion, it's become parody for me at this point. So to see how what they do with slow motion, sometimes it's almost like laughable.
Yeah.
But here, there's nothing beautiful about the action and how they're framing it. I like that it's desperate and it's ugly, and he bites. I didn't notice that the first time. He
many times
bites everybody. I was like, oh, that's great. That's a desperate move. You don't do that unless that's a last ditch effort, and he does it a lot. So he's really, really struggling in this film.
Yeah. I like that. It's the element of like visceral. I mean, like, Bollywood movies are fun. Like, at the end of the day, they're there to entertain you and make you, to some extent, escape reality. And this movie's kind of the polar opposite. It's taking it, like, making it harsh. Like, if it's a revenge story, it's not gonna be roses and colored glasses. It's gonna be. But it also gets elevated by the look of the film, right? Like, this harsh neon, gritty cyberpunk colors with like blood and dirt everywhere, juxtaposed to people dancing and there's like rainbows in the background, a more like traditional Bollywood production. So I think at the end of the day, I commend the idea behind the movie. I don't know if I love the final execution of the movie. It is ultimately just an average action movie.
I pretty much agree with that. I think if this came out strictly on Netflix, I probably might have had a different feel on it. Like, oh, a Netflix action movie, one where the director and star is actually doing all the action, and it's about specific culture. It's something different. Like, I think I probably would have been a little more. I probably could have taken it in a little more. Something about the fact that this got picked up by a Hollywood production. I think that just like really threw me off. Like, I have to like try to take that out of my mind, because this really is a small movie.
Yeah.
And it's funny. So when we first watched this, I was saying to you, like, oh man, like, this must be doing poorly because it's already on VOD. But actually, it's only got a $10 million budget, and it's already made 2.5 times its budget. So this is technically a success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you recommend the film?
Yeah. I think you should watch it. I think it's a good watch at home.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see this in theater. We missed out because of your vacation, but oddly enough, it came out, quickly after that. So we watched it, and I was like, like when we were watching it again, we watched it. You and I, we have a very critical opinion on action because we do the show, watch all that action, and we watched it with a friend. And he seemed to be really, really enjoying it. Everything that I was thinking of when it came to the action where I thought, oh, I don't like this, he was like, oh, man, this is great. Oh, I can't believe they're doing this. And so, like, hey, like, you can, like, trust our opinion when it comes to action and stuff. But sometimes the general audience goer will be just fine with what they see in this movie, and it's serviceable because the action choreographer and the DP who shot the action, he matches the style of the movie. It all actually looks like it's shot by the same person.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you get action, it looks like it doesn't look like the director had any input in that. So I'm even though I don't like how close everything was, it works all together in the film.
I don't have anything else to add to it. Like, it's everything you just said is kind of my ultimate sentiments to it, to this film. So yeah, I mean, maybe we'll just bring our friend on and be like, have him redo this review. It's like, it's awesome, and then that's the end. That's the whole episode right there.